Ladies have never held any charm for me.
First you take a low, common advantage of me, then you insult me.
I meant it as a compliment.
Hollywood has always shimmered with star-studded illusions, but not everything in Hollywood is pure glamour. Over the decades, shocking whispers and salacious tales have swirled among studio backlots and smoky after-parties, rumors so wild they seemed impossible.
Esther! He's out there. John on the porch. Ellie.
Yet, some of these shocking stories turned out to be true. From secret scandals to shocking betrayals, these stories went from tabloid talk to undeniable fact, leaving fans stunned and reputations forever changed. Join us as we take a look at these shocking facts, starting with gossip columnists were controlled by the studios. In old Hollywood, everything you saw about your favorite stars was carefully crafted by the big movie studios. From their love lives to their public appearances, the studios controlled it all. But here's the surprising part. Gossip columnists, the very people spilling juicy celebrity secrets, were often working hand in hand with these same studios. Take Hedda Hopper, for example. She became one of the most feared gossip queens in Hollywood. But what many didn't know was that her career was given a big push by MGM chief Louis B. Mayer. Hopper wasn't just digging up dirt, she was part of a system that benefited the studios. She'd expose just enough drama to keep her readers hooked, but never so much that it would anger the studios she relied on. Luella Parsons, another famous columnist, had a similar relationship with the powerful William Randolph Hearst. Hearst was not only a media mogul but also a major figure in the film industry. Parsons knew how to play her cards, using her platform to hype up movies and stars while keeping damaging secrets under wraps if it suited her allies. This arrangement created a bizarre partnership where gossip columnists built the myths of Hollywood while occasionally tearing down a star or two. For actors, it was a double-edged sword. A good relationship with a columnist could boost their career, but the wrong kind of attention could ruin it overnight. This tangled web of power and secrets defined Hollywood's golden era, shaping its legacy of glamour and scandal. Shirley Temple and the conspiracy she wasn't a child. Shirley Temple was the biggest child star Hollywood had ever seen. With her charming smile, adorable curls, and incredible talent, she captured the hearts of millions during the Great Depression. But her success was so extraordinary that some people couldn't believe she was really a child. A bizarre conspiracy theory began to spread that Shirley Temple was not a child at all, but an adult with dwarfism. The rumor grew so widespread that even the Vatican got involved. They reportedly sent a priest to investigate the claim. The priest's job was to confirm whether or not Shirley was actually a child. After meeting her and observing her in person, the Vatican concluded that she was, indeed, just a very talented young girl. Part of the confusion likely stemmed from her maturity on screen. Shirley didn't just act, she sang and danced with a level of skill that seemed far beyond her years. On top of that, she often played roles where she held her own alongside much older co-stars, further fueling the strange theory. Despite the ridiculous nature of the claim, the fact that it gained so much traction speaks to how unique Shirley Temple was. By the time she retired from acting at just 22, she had left an indelible mark on Hollywood. Alfred Hitchcock's troubling behavior toward female stars. Alfred Hitchcock is celebrated as one of Hollywood's greatest directors. He created some of the most iconic movies ever made, like Psycho and the Birds. But behind the camera, Hitchcock's behavior was far from admirable. Rumors about his inappropriate advances toward female stars have lingered for years, and unfortunately, many of them have been confirmed. One of the most vocal stars to speak out against him was Tippi Hedren, who starred in The Birds and Marnie. Hitchcock allegedly became obsessed with her and made several unwanted advances. In her own words, Hedren described the situation as deeply unsettling. It wasn't love. When you love someone, you treat them well. She emphasized that she never gave any indication of being interested in a romantic relationship with him. Yet, Hitchcock persisted, reportedly becoming angry and vindictive when she rejected him. Hedren also shared that Hitchcock's behavior went beyond mere advances. She claimed he tried to control her career, ensuring she couldn't work with other directors if she didn't comply. This power dynamic made it nearly impossible for her to speak out at the time. While his contributions to cinema are undeniable, stories like Hedron's reveal the disturbing reality many actresses faced in Hollywood's golden age. Peg Entwistle and the tragic Hollywood sign legend. Hollywood has always been a place of dreams, but not everyone's story ends in fame and fortune. Peg Entwistle, a young actress with big aspirations, came to Hollywood in the 1930s hoping to make it big. Born in Wales in 1908 and raised in the United States, Peg had already gained recognition on Broadway for her talent. She had a captivating stage presence that made her a rising star in the theater world. But when she transitioned to Hollywood, things didn't go as planned. Peg landed a role in the 1932 film 13 Women, a psychological thriller that could have been her big break. Sadly, most of her scenes were cut from the final version, leaving her with little to showcase her talent. Disheartened by this and the struggles of pursuing her career in Hollywood, Peg's dreams began to crumble. In September 1932, Peg made her way to the famous Hollywoodland sign. She climbed to the top of the H and tragically ended her life. Her death shocked the industry and became one of the most haunting stories in Hollywood's history. Peg left behind a note that revealed her heartbreak over her career, saying she was afraid she would never be a success. Her story has since become a symbol of the harsh realities of the entertainment industry, reminding us of the toll it can take on those chasing fame. Walt Disney and his meeting with Leni Riefenstahl. Walt Disney is one of the most celebrated names in entertainment history. He brought us magical stories like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and created a world of wonder with Disneyland. But one chapter in his story has left people uneasy: a meeting with Nazi Germany's top filmmaker, Leni Riefenstahl, in the late 1930s. Riefenstahl was infamous for her work in propaganda films that glorified Hitler and the Nazi regime. Her film Triumph of the Will became one of the most recognizable pieces of propaganda in history. When she visited Hollywood in 1938, most studio executives refused to meet with her because of her ties to Nazi Germany. But Walt Disney, who was riding high on the success of Snow White, reportedly welcomed her to his studio. Riefenstahl was given a tour of Disney Studios, which lasted several hours. However, contrary to some rumors, there's no evidence that he screened her films during the visit. Later, Disney claimed he didn't fully understand who she was or her connection to Hitler, but his decision to meet with her raised eyebrows, especially as more of the horrors of the Holocaust came to light. This incident remains a controversial moment in Disney's legacy. Cary Grant and his secret mission to expose Nazi sympathizers. Cary Grant, one of Hollywood's most charming leading men, had more on his plate than just acting during World War II. Behind the scenes, he was reportedly on a secret mission to identify Nazi sympathizers in Hollywood. This wasn't just any rumor or gossip. Grant was deeply concerned about the influence of Nazi ideology spreading in the U.S., especially in the entertainment industry. One of his primary targets was Count Kurt von Haugwitz-Hardenberg-Reventlow, a German-born aristocrat who had married heiress Barbara Woolworth Hutton. The Count's background and suspected political leanings made him a person of interest. Grant reportedly kept an eye on Reventlow, looking for any evidence of Nazi ties or sympathies. Interestingly, this investigation led to an unexpected twist. After Barbara Woolworth Hutton divorced Reventlow, she and Grant developed a romantic connection. In 1942, the suave actor married the heiress, making headlines around the world. However, their marriage lasted only 3 years before they went their separate ways. Cary Grant's efforts to spy on potential Nazi supporters added a unique layer to his already fascinating life. While he's remembered for his roles in films like North by Northwest and An Affair to Remember, this secret mission shows a side of him that few people knew about. Marlene Dietrich insured her voice for $1 million. Marlene Dietrich was one of the most iconic stars of classic Hollywood. Known for her alluring presence and a voice that was both smoky and captivating, she left an unforgettable mark on cinema. Born in Germany, Dietrich gained fame with movies like The Blue Angel and later became a beloved star in Hollywood. Her raspy, sultry voice was so unique that it became one of her defining features, setting her apart from other actresses of her time. The rumor that Dietrich's voice was insured for a hefty $1 million is surprisingly true. Back in those days, a star's talent wasn't just a skill, it was their livelihood. Studios saw her voice as an invaluable asset and wanted to protect it at all costs. After all, without it, Dietrich might not have been able to charm audiences the way she did. And Marlene wasn't the only star with such an unusual policy. Betty Grable, another Hollywood legend, had her famous legs insured for a hefty sum, as they were a huge part of her appeal during World War II. Jimmy Durante, the comic with a larger-than-life personality, also had his famously distinctive nose insured. For Dietrich, this kind of insurance showed just how much the industry valued her. Her voice wasn't just a tool, it was her identity. And even today, her legacy as a trailblazer in Hollywood remains untouchable, much like that million-dollar insurance policy. Jack Ryan and the dark side of the Barbie creator. Jack Ryan is best remembered for two things: being Zsa Zsa Gabor's sixth husband and the creative mind behind iconic toys like Barbie and Hot Wheels. On the surface, he seemed like a fascinating mix of Hollywood glitz and creative genius. But as shocking stories have emerged over the years, Ryan's reputation has taken a darker turn. According to Scotty Bowers' book Full Service: My Adventures in Hollywood and the Secret Sex Lives of the Stars, Ryan had a troubling obsession with women. Bowers claimed that Barbie, one of Ryan's most famous creations, was modeled after his idea of the perfect woman. He described Ryan as being addicted to women, specifically those who were young, slim, and curvaceous. This revelation casts a strange shadow over a toy that became a cultural icon, but it doesn't stop there. Ryan was also accused of staging bizarre and unsettling encounters. Bowers alleged that he would invite women to his home, leading them into a room decorated with rose petals, only for them to find him lying in a coffin. The goal was to shock them while he engaged in deeply inappropriate behavior. These stories paint a troubling picture of a man who lived far beyond the boundaries of normal behavior. Mario Lanza and the extreme diet that led to his death. Mario Lanza was one of Hollywood's brightest stars in the late 1940s and early 1950s. Known for his powerful voice and charismatic performances, he starred in musicals that captivated audiences and produced million-selling hits. But behind the scenes, Lanza struggled with a dangerous cycle of weight gain, crash diets, and addiction that would ultimately lead to his untimely death. Lanza's battle with his weight started early in his career. His love for food and alcohol caused frequent fluctuations in his size, which didn't sit well with MGM Studios. The studio pressured him to stay thin, especially for his on-screen roles. To meet their demands, Lanza went on extreme crash diets that were both physically and mentally exhausting. These diets often caused him to gain the weight back quickly after filming, creating a harmful pattern. By the late 1950s, Lanza had moved to Rome, where he continued performing concerts and working on films. To lose weight for his European appearances, he reportedly checked into a clinic where he underwent a controversial procedure called twilight sleep. In this dangerous method, he was kept under sedation and fed intravenously to rapidly shed pounds. Tragically, Lanza's body couldn't handle the constant strain. In 1959, he died of a sudden heart attack at just 38 years old. Charlie Chaplin's controversial relationships with younger women. Charlie Chaplin, known worldwide for his genius in silent films, had a career filled with laughter and success. But his personal life often raised eyebrows, especially when it came to his relationships. One of the biggest controversies surrounding Chaplin was his tendency to date women who were much younger than him. This wasn't just a rumor, it became public knowledge during several high-profile scandals. In 1924, Chaplin married Leda Gray, a 16-year-old actress he had met on a film set. Their marriage took place in Mexico because California law wouldn't allow it due to her age. The relationship didn't last long, but the details of their divorce caused a media frenzy. The court documents exposed Chaplin's private life, making it clear that his relationships were often complicated and, by today's standards, highly inappropriate. Things got even messier in 1944 when Joan Barry, an aspiring actress, accused Chaplin of fathering her child. A paternity test later proved he wasn't the father, but Chaplin still lost the case due to legal technicalities. This lawsuit brought even more scrutiny to his personal life. Around the same time, Chaplin married Una O'Neill, the 18-year-old daughter of playwright Eugene O'Neill, further fueling the controversy. While Chaplin's creative genius left a lasting impact on cinema, these scandals left a darker mark on his legacy: Hedda Hopper and the power to ruin careers. In the golden age of Hollywood, one name could make or break a career: Hedda Hopper. A failed actress turned gossip columnist, Hopper became a force to be reckoned with. Her sharp pen and biting words terrified the biggest stars in Tinseltown. By the 1940s, her column had a staggering readership of 35 million, giving her unmatched influence over the industry. Hopper wasn't shy about her power. She proudly referred to herself as the beach of the world, and seemed to enjoy the destruction she caused. From careers to marriages, nothing was off limits. Louis B. Mayer, one of Hollywood's biggest moguls, famously described her reign of terror as Hedda Hell. Hopper was especially ruthless toward communists and members of the LGBTQ+ community. As a founding member of the Motion Picture Alliance for the Preservation of American Ideals, she was a key figure in the Hollywood blacklist, which destroyed countless careers by accusing people of communist sympathies. One of her most famous targets was screenwriter Dalton Trumbo, who remained blacklisted until 1960. Charlie Chaplin was another frequent victim of her wrath, as she condemned his personal life and political beliefs in her columns. Her rivalry with fellow gossip columnist Luella Parsons added even more drama. Hopper's fury was especially fierce if a star chose to share news with Parsons instead of her. Ingrid Bergman learned this the hard way when she lied about her pregnancy to Hopper but confessed the truth to Parsons. The fallout was brutal. Judy Garland's harsh treatment at MGM. Judy Garland, best known for her unforgettable role as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, became a household name at a very young age. But behind her radiant smile and incredible talent was a deeply troubling reality. MGM Studios, the very company that launched her to stardom, treated her in ways that would later shock the world. To keep Garland looking the way they wanted, studio executives tightly controlled her diet. She was reportedly put on a strict food regimen, often being told she was too overweight to fit the Hollywood image. Even worse, they gave her pills, stimulants to keep her awake during grueling shoots and sleeping pills to ensure she rested afterward. This cycle of pills took a heavy toll on her body and mind, leading to a lifelong battle with substance use. Garland's struggles were long dismissed as personal failings, but in reality, they were the result of years of mistreatment and psychological pressure from MGM. As a teenager, she was constantly compared to her co-stars, criticized for her appearance, and pushed to work exhausting hours. The pressure and lack of support left her feeling isolated and insecure. Olivia de Havilland and Joan Fontaine's sisterly feud. Hollywood had never seen anything like it. Two sisters, Olivia de Havilland and Joan Fontaine, both achieving immense fame and winning Oscars. But behind the glamorous smiles and red carpet appearances, their relationship was far from perfect. For decades, rumors swirled about their intense rivalry, and as time went on, it became clear that the tension between them was very real. The feud reportedly started during their childhood. Olivia, the older sister, was said to be more dominant, while Joan often felt overshadowed. Their sibling rivalry carried into their professional lives, where both became major stars in the 1940s. Joan won an Oscar first for her role in Suspicion, 1941, but Olivia's win for To Each His Own, 1946, reportedly reignited their animosity. Hollywood gossip magazines had a field day with the idea of two sisters competing at the highest level. One infamous moment occurred at the Oscars when Joan appeared to snub Olivia backstage. The photo of the interaction went viral by 1940s standards, further fueling the rumors. While Olivia chose to stay tight-lipped about their relationship, Joan later admitted in interviews that the feud was real and their sisterly bond was never repaired. Despite their rivalry, both women made incredible contributions to Hollywood's golden age: Wallace Beery and the alleged murder of Ted Healy. Wallace Beery was one of Hollywood's biggest stars in the 1930s. With hit films like The Champ and The Big House, he was a household name and an Academy Award winner. But behind the glitz and glamour, there's a chilling rumor that still lingers. Beery might have been involved in the death of comedian Ted Healy, the man who created The Three Stooges. The alleged incident took place on December 20th, 1937, at the Trocadero nightclub in Los Angeles. According to rumors, Beery, along with producer Pasquale De Sico and another unidentified man, got into a heated argument with Healy. Things reportedly escalated, and the three men brutally beat Healy outside the club. Healy died the next day, with injuries that many believe were caused by the fight. At the time, Hollywood studios worked hard to protect their stars from scandals, and MGM was no exception. It's said that Louis B. Mayer, the head of MGM, stepped in to shield Beery from any legal consequences. To avoid further suspicion, Beery quickly left the country for a long European vacation, conveniently timed right after the incident. Despite the rumors and the whispers in Hollywood, no charges were ever filed, and the case remains unsolved. Whether Wallace Beery was truly involved or not, the story adds a dark layer to the golden age of Hollywood, where stars often seemed untouchable, no matter how serious the allegations against them. Orson Welles and the real inspiration behind Citizen Kane. When Citizen Kane hit theaters in 1941, it stunned audiences with its powerful storytelling and groundbreaking cinematography. Directed by Orson Welles, the film followed the life of Charles Foster Kane, a wealthy and influential newspaper tycoon whose empire crumbled under the weight of his own moral failings. But behind this fictional character was a rumor that captured everyone's attention. Kane was inspired by none other than real-life media mogul William Randolph Hearst. Welles was careful about admitting the connection. He claimed the character was a blend of different personalities, but it was hard to ignore the glaring similarities. Like Kane, Hearst built a massive newspaper empire, owned a luxurious estate, and had a controversial personal life. The parallels didn't sit well with Hearst, who quickly turned his attention toward destroying Welles and his film. To silence the buzz around the movie, Hearst launched a relentless campaign against Citizen Kane. His newspapers refused to run advertisements or reviews, effectively shutting down its promotion. Gossip columnists like Luella Parsons and Hedda Hopper joined in, writing harsh critiques to discredit Welles and his work. Despite the backlash, Citizen Kane managed to survive, later becoming one of the most celebrated films of all time. As for Welles, he was hailed as a genius, though the Hearst debacle cast a shadow over his career. The rumor about the movie's inspiration might have caused chaos back then, but it also made Citizen Kane a legend in Hollywood history. The Oscars were created to stop unions. Today, the Oscars are the biggest night in Hollywood. They celebrate the best in filmmaking, with actors, directors, and producers dreaming of taking home that golden statue. But the story of how the Oscars began is much less glamorous. In fact, they were originally created as a way to stop unions from gaining power in Hollywood. It all started in the late 1920s when Louis B. Mayer, the head of MGM Studios, faced a problem. Mayer, known for his intimidating personality, was upset when union rules complicated the building of his beach house. At the time, unions were starting to form in Hollywood to protect workers like actors, writers, and crew members. Mayer wasn't happy about this. He wanted to keep control over the industry and its talent. To counter the growing union movement, Mayer helped found the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. The Academy was presented as an organization to celebrate filmmakers and advance the industry. But behind the scenes, it was meant to replace unions and keep Hollywood workers in check. The first Oscar ceremony in 1929 was part of this plan, a way to reward talent while keeping them loyal to the studios. However, the plan didn't work as Mayer intended. Unions eventually took hold in Hollywood, and the Academy evolved into what we know today. While the Oscars are now about recognizing excellence, their origin as a union-busting tactic remains a surprising piece of Hollywood history. Loretta Young's secret child with Clark Gable. Loretta Young was one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses, known for her elegance and grace on screen. But behind her glamorous image was a secret she worked hard to keep hidden for decades: a child with the legendary Clark Gable. In the 1930s, an unplanned pregnancy could destroy an actress's career. Studios had strict rules, and actresses were often pressured to make decisions they didn't want. For Loretta, the stakes were even higher because of her devout Catholic beliefs. Young came up with a plan to protect her reputation. She went into seclusion during her pregnancy, later returning with a story that she had adopted her daughter, Judy Lewis. For years, this explanation worked, even though many couldn't help but notice how much Judy resembled her famous father. The rumors continued to swirl, but Young refused to confirm the truth. It wasn't until Judy was an adult that Loretta finally told her the truth. Clark Gable was her biological father. However, the story didn't end there. After both Young and Gable had passed away, it was revealed that their encounter wasn't consensual. This dark detail cast a shadow over the long-kept secret. Bette Davis and the fight against studio control. In the golden age of Hollywood, actors didn't have the freedom they enjoy today. Studios controlled every part of their careers, including the roles they played. Refusing a part was almost unthinkable, as it often led to harsh punishments. One of the most famous examples of this was Bette Davis, who dared to stand up to Warner Brothers. Bette Davis was one of the most talented and successful actresses of her time, starring in hits like Jezebel and Dark Victory. But her career wasn't always smooth. In the 1930s, Davis felt trapped by the roles Warner Brothers assigned her. She wanted more complex, meaningful characters, but the studio kept giving her parts she found shallow or unchallenging. When Davis refused to take on certain roles, Warner Brothers took swift action. They suspended her from work, cutting off her salary as punishment. Frustrated and determined, Davis decided to fight back. She sued the studio in 1937, hoping to gain more control over her career. Unfortunately, she lost the lawsuit, and Warner Brothers retained their power. Despite the setback, Davis didn't give up. Her persistence paid off, and Warner Brothers eventually started offering her better roles. This led to some of the most iconic performances of her career, including her Oscar-winning role in Jezebel. Marilyn Monroe and the Kennedys. Marilyn Monroe, the ultimate Hollywood icon, was no stranger to scandal and intrigue. Among the many rumors surrounding her life, one of the most persistent was her alleged relationships with President John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert Kennedy. For years this was brushed off as gossip, but evidence has since surfaced that Monroe was romantically involved with at least one, if not both, of the Kennedy brothers. Monroe's famous Happy Birthday, Mr. President performance in 1962 added fuel to the fire. Her sultry delivery hinted at more than just admiration for the president. Later, people close to Monroe, including her biographer and former friends, claimed she had affairs with both JFK and RFK. These claims were supported by phone records, showing frequent contact with the Kennedys. Tragically, Monroe's untimely death just a few months after the birthday performance only deepened the mystery. While her passing was officially ruled a probable suicide, many speculated that it was connected to her relationships with the powerful brothers. Though much remains unconfirmed, this rumor has enough credible backing to be considered one of Hollywood's darker truths: Clark Gable and the death of a pedestrian. Clark Gable, the leading man of Gone with the Wind, was the epitome of charm and masculinity on screen. But off-screen, he was involved in a troubling incident that was covered up by MGM. In 1933, Gable reportedly struck and killed a pedestrian in a car accident. According to rumors, MGM's notorious fixer, Eddie Mannix, stepped in to protect Gable's career. Mannix allegedly arranged for another MGM employee to take the blame for the accident. This was a common practice during Hollywood's golden age, as studios would go to great lengths to shield their stars from scandal. The story stayed buried for decades, but later reports from insiders and Hollywood historians gave weight to the rumor. While the details remain murky, the incident highlights the darker side of Hollywood's glamorous facade and the extreme measures studios took to maintain their stars' squeaky clean images. Joan Crawford's adoption scandal. Joan Crawford, one of Hollywood's brightest stars, was known for her elegance and fierce determination. However, her personal life was clouded by shocking rumors about her relationships with her adopted children. In her daughter Christina's 1978 memoir, Mommy Dearest, Crawford was accused of being an abusive and manipulative mother. The memoir detailed disturbing incidents, including Crawford's alleged physical and emotional abuse. Christina claimed that Crawford adopted children not out of love, but as a way to enhance her public image. The book painted a dark picture of the star, completely at odds with her glamorous public persona. While some close to Crawford defended her, others backed Christina's claims. Over time, more stories of Crawford's harsh parenting style surfaced, giving credibility to the allegations. The memoir remains a controversial piece of Hollywood history, but it undeniably revealed a side of Joan Crawford that her fans never saw on screen. Which of these old Hollywood rumors surprised you the most? And do you think there are even more hidden truths about Hollywood's golden era waiting to be uncovered? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time.